Greetings, political science class. This video is about how to be successful in writing assignments. I have developed some advice for how to be successful in writing for Dr. Bohan. So the first thing I want to tell you is that any political science class is going to require a considerable amount of writing. So you will notice that all of the assignments really involve you writing, either in the form of discussion posts or in the form of submitting papers, or even the final assignment, which is submitting an interactive lesson. All of those require strong writing skills. So my first piece of advice that I want to offer is that you need to make sure that you read the assignment that involves writing fully. If there are questions involved, make sure you answer all components of all questions. In addition, you will notice that I have rubrics attached to each assignment, and so you need to look at the rubric because that will explain to you the criteria upon which your writing is being evaluated. In order to simplify life, the criteria that I use to evaluate writing is basically the same in each assignment, even though the assignments may be different. The first thing that I'm going to look for is logic and originality, and what that means is your assignment logical in the construction of your argument, or is your assignment creative in that it's very unique to you? The iCollege has a Turnitin, which is used to determine originality of submission. So of course I would say don't plagiarize, write your own material, because this will be checked automatically by the Turnitin program. In addition, logic and originality requires that not only you be creative and make a strong argument relying on the readings in the course, but also try and find some outside sources. If you read the New York Times or the Washington Post or even the AJC, bring in those additional reading sources to your argument. Maureen Downey is the education policy writer for the AJC, so I frequently read her columns so that I am familiar with what's going on in the world of education in Georgia. So logic and originality is the first criteria on the rubric. The second criteria is mechanics, or spelling and grammar. I have been known to be a bit of a grammar Nazi. I really believe that whatever you're going to be doing in the future, be it teaching or working in a governmental office, making sure that your writing is free of errors is really, really important. So how do you do this? It involves writing and then actually setting down what you've written for a day without looking at it. Give it to a friend and have your friend or your partner check to make sure there aren't any typos. Even if they know nothing about the content of what you're reading, they do know how to check for simple typographical errors that you may have made. What happens is, as you write, you don't see your own errors, so you really do need someone else to check your writing. I always say that even the best writers like Ernest Hemingway had editors. I edit an academic journal called Curriculum and Teaching Dialogue, and I requested that the organization pay for a copy editor because I knew that I wasn't going to be able to catch all errors. So really, you read it, put it down, give it to a friend, have them read it, and bring it back to you. So this means you can't write your assignment the night before. Free of grammar errors also involves making sure that you don't break some kind of common grammatical rules. You will see on iCollege in the resources page that I have posted writing codes, which you can see right here, which are common errors that I found through the years that students make. These include things like getting your verb tenses incorrect, or using slang language, not using active verbs. Remember, passive voice is not what you want to aim for. You want to aim for creating a vivid sense of your meaning when you're doing your writing. I also find that I follow some kind of traditional rules, like don't end your sentence with a preposition, and make sure that you have parallel structure when you have 3 or more clauses. So if you look at the writing codes on iCollege, you will get a sense of the types of rules that are important to me, and then if you make those errors on your papers, you will note that I correct those errors. I may use track changes, but I may, in correcting your writing, but I may also just use, print out your paper and hand write the corrections and scan them back into you. Sometimes I like to be comfortable and not spend too many hours in front of the blue light that radiates from my screen, and so I'll sit outside and read your writing, or sit in front of the Mets game. Remember, I'm a huge baseball fan. Okay, so grammar mechanics, that's the second thing. I talked about logic and originality. The third thing is writing style and prose clarity. That means that you need really strong organizational skills, and you need to be precise in conveying your meaning. So avoid words that aren't strong and don't convey precise meaning. So for example, if you say something is a thing, that's not very precise. What thing? But if you say something is a glass of iced tea with sweetener in it, that conveys a much stronger meaning. So try and be very precise. Sometimes the thesaurus is helpful when you're stuck for words, but also be careful not to use big words that you don't really know what the meaning of the word is, because then you may run into that mistake of using the word incorrectly. Okay, so third is writing style and prose clarity, and again, to friend reading your essay can be helpful here. And then the fourth and final criteria that I have is critical insights and research evidence. And so this means you really need to demonstrate to me not only that you've completed the readings that have been assigned to you, so you want to reference those readings using either APA format or Chicago Manual of Style. But you also want to go beyond the readings, and here again is where bringing in outside resources such as the Times, the Post, or the AJC can be helpful. You can use some direct quotations, but don't overuse direct quotations. I find that students sometimes feel that the writing in the reading is stronger, and so they over-rely on direct quotations. Keep in mind, I'm evaluating your writing, not the author of the published work's writing. So if you find that you've got 3 quotes strung together on a page, I would remove one of those or 2 of those quotations and put the ideas in your own words. Okay, so just to recap my helpful video on how to be successful in writing assignments. Make sure you answer everything fully. If there are questions that are a component of the writing assignment, make sure that you use logic and originality. Make sure that your mechanics are free of grammatical errors or spelling errors. Make sure that your writing style is clear and precise in meaning so that your prose clarity conveys your ideas clearly and succinctly. You will notice that my assignments aren't terribly long, but they're frequent. And then finally, make sure that you support your ideas with insight and evidence. So this concludes my video on how to be successful in writing.